Hey everyone, welcome into Falcons Today by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with you guys, recapping the latest Falcons news. They made some roster moves, plus we have some Kyle Pitts replacements after the star tight end was placed on injured reserve. Might miss at least the whole season, if not at least 4 weeks. But that's what we got on tap for today. But let's start with the roster moves, as a Barstool legend is joining the Dirty Birds. That is Year 10, as you like to say, for linebacker Will Compton. So he announced on his own Twitter that he signed with the Falcons last night. Will Compton's been a bit of a journeyman. He spent a lot of time with the Tennessee Titans. He's also spent some time with the Raiders. But he is the newest member of the Atlanta Falcons. If you like Barstool, if you like their content, you probably know who I am talking about here. Part of the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. He's a fun guy to have in the locker room. At the very worst, he's going to make some lively discussions, and he's going to make some funny comments on the bench, and you'll enjoy his humor that way. But the Falcons have had some injuries across the defense, and Will Compton can step in as someone who's been around the league for a long time, 92 career games under his belt, and he's going to, not push for a starting job. Don't get me wrong. Walker and Evans are not going to lose their starting roles midway through the season in late November to Will Compton. But this is a sign that Fontenot and Arthur Smith are looking to beef up the interior linebacker room with some nice depth right there. Now, this is why you subscribe, though, because when any news happens surrounding the Atlanta Falcons, roster moves, practice squad signings, anything at all, we're going to keep you up to date. So if you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and do so. If we get more subscribers here at the channel at Chat Sports, well, it's democracy. More subscribers means the more studio time, which means more videos for your favorite team. All right, like I said, though, Kyle Pitts out for the year. It has not been definitively a closed case from what I've read, but it's very unlikely that Kyle Pitts comes back. Barring this team going on a major run and it's week 18, he's 100% after his surgery, maybe then, but for now, let's just assume Kyle Pitts is done for the season. Some other moves that were made by Atlanta. Taquan Graham, the linebacker, was placed on injured reserve. Texas legend, 34 tackles so far this year, 1 tackle for loss and 1 fumble recovery. If only he held on to that 1 fumble recovery. You know here. All right, we got some more news to go over. Some other updates have been made. Jaleel Johnson has been added to the Falcons roster. A potential replacement is it for Taquan Graham. He's been a journeyman himself. He has bounced around all over the league. He's been with the Falcons before, been with the Texans a whole lot. Former 4th-round pick for the Minnesota Vikings. At this day and age of the season, GMs are looking for someone that they know and is familiar with their playbook, and they don't have to waste 2 or 3 weeks getting them up to speed, and Jaleel Johnson might be that replacement for Graham. Practice squad move as well. John Rain was signed to the Atlanta Falcons practice squad. Practice squad opened up when Johnson was promoted, and so Rain takes his spot. Northwestern guy who is probably not going to see the field this year, but we're going to cover all the news for you guys surrounding the Falcons. All right, we're going to get to more Falcons news, plus some Kyle Pitts replacements in just a short moment. But I have to tell everyone watching about an awesome deal going on with BetUS. Our proud sportsbook partner is here to offer Falcons fans a 125% deposit bonus. Head on over to chatsports.com/betfalcons. Use promo code FALCONS125. When you do all of that, you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. All right, let's talk about Kyle Pitts, though. This season has been underwhelming for him. Let's just call it what it is. Only 28 receptions. Now, where you want to attribute the blame, that's a whole separate video in and of itself. But he has been a disappointment for a top 5 pick in year number 2. Only 356 yards and 2 touchdowns. In his career, 1,300 yards and 3 scores. Remember, only 1 touchdown last year, 2 touchdowns so far this season. And with Atlanta, most likely without the services of number 8 for the remainder of the season, they're going to have to find a new tight end for Mariota to overthrow or underthrow. Might that be Parker Hesse, Mycole Pruitt, Anthony Firkser? There's a handful of guys who could step up into this role and take over the volume of targets, which, in my opinion, wasn't enough for Kyle Pitts. But here are the stats for the 3 logical in-house replacements to be your new tight end 1. It's not very encouraging, to say the least. that one of these guys is going to step into that tight end one position. And so far this year, they have not commanded a whole lot of the offense's attention. So be honest with me. Are you worried about the Falcons losing Kyle Pitts, right? For the rest of the season, this is an Atlanta team that's right there on the cusp of making a playoff push, right there in the hunt. Let me know. Type his jersey number 8 for yes, or you can just type 2 for no. Now, if Atlanta decides to go external to replace number 8, I've got 3 replacement options, starting with, I don't know, is this a future Hall of Famer, Jimmy Graham? I think he's a future maybe not. No, I don't think he's a future Hall of Famer. But Jimmy Graham, of course, longtime New Orleans Saint, has bounced around the league since then. Seattle, Green Bay, Chicago. Jimmy Graham is most likely cooked at this point, but we also thought Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph were cooked. And the Eagles signed them in mid-November. So they don't need Jimmy Graham for a full season. A lot of the times when these, noteworthy veterans go unsigned in free agency and the season rolls around and they're not signed, it's because a GM doesn't believe this 35-year-old or whatever has enough left in the tank to play 17 games. The beauty of an in-season pickup is you don't need him for 17 games, right? The Falcons have half of the season left, and so Graham, who's had some good years, of course, we all remember what a dominant tight end he was for Drew Brees and the Saints, but the last 4 seasons for Jimmy Graham have not been as noteworthy. I mean, 2020 with the Bears, he did put up 8 touchdowns, but last year with Chicago, just 167 yards and 3 touchdowns. He is just a big body in the red zone at this point, and for Atlanta, they don't struggle too mightily in the red zone, so it's not like Jimmy Graham is going to come in here and make the big difference that they've been looking for in goal-to-go situations. I'm passing on Jimmy Graham. Hope he enjoys flying around. I know he's a part-time pilot, but let me know. Should the Falcons sign a free agent tight end? Do you think that Terry Fontenot and Ryan Pace need to go outside the walls to bring someone in, or are they comfortable with their current locker room and the next man up mentality for replacing Pitts? Next possible replacement is Jared Cook. Now, I like Jared Cook. I thought he should have been signed. I thought he would have been signed at least back in the offseason leading up into the season. I mean, Jared Cook last year, for a cat over 30, 48 receptions, 564 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I know those aren't even half or a quarter or a third of Travis Kelce's numbers, but Jared Cook was pretty reliable, I should say, for the Chargers last season. So that's definitely an option if the Falcons do want to go to free agency. There's also Eric Ebron, a former top pick of the draft for the Detroit Lions that went to the Steelers, and it just looks like he's cooked. He's not gotten any buzz. I haven't heard any rumors of teams having much interest in bringing Eric Ebron in. It's been his last days of the Colts or the Steelers, whatever it is at this point. But the last 4 seasons for Ebron, 13 touchdowns in 2018 got him a payday. But after that, nothing, right? A combined 9 touchdowns over the last 3 seasons, only 1 a year ago from 12 receptions. So the North Carolina Tar Heel in his career, 351 receptions, 3,800 yards, and 33 touchdowns. He had a great start to his career. He got paid, and then he sort of just drifted off a little bit. Former first-round pick, though, so we could try to recreate the Falcons team of not too long ago of an offense of all first-round picks, pretty much. Youngest of the 3 we'd look at, so maybe it's worth seeing if he's still in shape. Now, that's the big question. When you call someone in November that hasn't trained in a couple months, they are probably going to pick up the phone and go, dude, I've been eating wings and watching NFL Red Zone every Sunday. I am not in football shape whatsoever. Now, of the 3 tight ends we talked about today, if you had to pick one to sign, who would it be? Jimmy Graham, Jared Cook, or Eric Ebron? Just put the initials for the tight end you like the most in the comments section below. I'll be looking, so let me know down below.